What's up, everybody? This is Alex Winking. Michael, hope everybody's having a great Tuesday. I told you I'd have a heater for you today, and it's hard to not do this story. I was really trying to. I want you guys to know that. I tried not to talk about this, but our boy Randy Pitchford has been accused of some pretty bad stuff, and we're going to talk a little bit about it. And I'm going to try to paint a little bit of a different side of the picture in this. I've kind of been rough on him as well as the rest of the gaming community as a whole. But I'm going to try to be as arbitrary as possible, play a little bit of devil's advocate here, at least a little bit, because I still think he's in the wrong. I want to make that clear. I don't think there's any excuse for this type of behavior that he's doing. But what the hell am I talking about? We are talking about David Eddings coming out and basically just coming out and releasing everything. I mean, he's just thrown everything to the wind at this point. He has come out and accused Randy Pitchford of assault, and he said he was physically assaulted by him in 2017 at GDC. And this all kind of came out just through Twitter, and I guess him kind of getting sick of the rebuttals from Gearbox and Randy Pitchford's more specifically. So he finally just said, you know what, forget it. I'm going to throw everything I have out there. And really kind of in an interesting manner. But let's kind of jump into the story. And, you know, I'm sure you guys have kind of seen this all day long on YouTube. I generally like to wait on these things, number one, because I have a day job that takes a lot of my time. But number two, it's always good to kind of wait to see everything come out, because there tends to be more to it than meets the eye originally. And I feel like a lot of people dive on these things and then sometimes can leave some things out. And I try to examine some stuff that maybe other people don't. But either way, in this one, it's pretty cut and dry. But articles and things that we use will be linked in the description below. But let's jump into the first article here, or really the only article here. And this is via Variety. And it says, Gearbox CEO Randy Pitchford accused of physical assault by Claptrap voice actor. Quote, Borderlands Claptrap voice actor David Eddings says Gearbox CEO... Close that out. It says Gearbox CEO Randy Pitchford physically assaulted him in 2017. He explains in a series of tweets on Monday. Gearbox is the developer behind the Borderlands series, including the upcoming Borderlands 3. Eddings is on an ongoing dispute with Pitchford, which seems to have stemmed from tensions around the voice actor's payment for his performance in Borderlands and Borderlands 2. Quote, Randy physically assaulted me in the lobby of the Marriott Marquis at GDC 2017, Eddings wrote in a tweet on Monday. A follow-up to his explanation of the payment dilemma he says he faced when asked to reprise his role as Claptrap. Gearbox actually sent a response to PC Gamer. Quote, Gearbox takes any and all claims of this nature very seriously, and we will abstain from commenting on the allegations Dave is making because it is a personnel matter. Well, that's kind of funny. They said if it's a personnel matter, then it's a matter of the company. I believe what you meant to say was it's a personal matter. Not sure who got that wrong, but either way. We appreciate David's contributions to the Borderlands franchise and continue to assert we would welcome him back into the mix as the voice of Claptrap and other future opportunities. Let me tell you something about that, let's just call it what it is, bullshit response. If I were David Eddings, I would call them out on this. I would publicly say, hey, because here's what they did. They put out this statement saying, hey, yeah, we'd welcome him back into the fold, and his contributions were huge, and we assert we'd welcome him back in the mix as the voice of Claptrap and other future opportunities. So they put themselves out there knowing full well that there is zero chance this guy is coming back to Gearbox. If I were David Eddings, I'm saying, okay, asshole. I would really like to pursue opportunities with Gearbox. Could you guys please tell me who to get in touch with? I'd put it out there. 100%. Let your current employer know, I guess, like, hey, I'm just really messing with him, yanking him here. But I would definitely say that publicly. And then you could update people, say, well, nope, they never got back with me. Nope, they never got back with me. Or they would get back with you. Either way, I feel like they lose. Gearbox loses on this. If he were to call him out, I doubt he will, because it's gotten so salty that there's no chance. But I would love to see him just say, okay, yeah, I'd like to hear about those opportunities. Can we get together? Let's get lunch. I would love if he did that. But there's a zero chance that he probably will. Further, Eddings accused Pitchford of siphoning $12 million from Gearbox funds meant for employee royalties for a personal bonus, which Pitchford was previously accused of in a lawsuit, and the CEO denied back in January. Gearbox did not comment on this accusation. as it is an ongoing investigation. That probably means that there is some level of guilt. Why you would protect a guy like Randy Pitchford is beyond me. But there's definitely, the saying goes, where there's crumbs, there's cake. And in this instance, there is 100%, there's some crumbs laying around from that. I mentioned it in my previous video, and I think this kind of has really come out now just due to the fact that David Eddings continues to talk about it, and it's not going away. And if that lawsuit will probably be a little bit more closely followed than it was, and that is all 100% at the fault of Randy Pitchford because he just doesn't know when to stop talking. Although he apparently does now, but we'll get into that in a minute. David Eddings, this is his Twitter. I was fine moving on after Gearbox when my former boss starts mouthing off about various aspects of my employment, including how, quote, how highly compensated I was and how, quote, generous he is. I feel obligated to correct the record. Yeah, he was pretty vague in what he said, meaning Randy Pitchford. And we'll reference that tweet in a second. Although this did get 9,000 likes. So he's definitely got some people in his corner. There's no doubt about it. And then here's where we kind of get into the assault accusation. This came after the explanations of why the actor is no longer working with Gearbox. The actor wrote that he would not be reprising his role as Claptrap in Borderlands 3 on Wednesday in a tweet because he asked for payments of royalties and then asked for an apology for the assault. He didn't specify that he wanted an apology for the assault, though, to be honest. He only specified that he wanted royalties and an apology, but he didn't reference the instance. That's important to note, because at this time, he didn't come out with that information. He was keeping that to himself. Quote, I had a lot of mixed feelings when asked to reprise the role of Claptrap late this year, and eventually realized I was willing to put differences aside and do something cool for Borderlands fans with my friends at Gearbox. I ultimately offered to do Borderlands 3 for free, in exchange for past royalties owed, plus an apology for something I've never spoken about publicly until now. Randy physically assaulted me in the lobby of the Marriott Marquis at GDC 2017. The original explanation for the non-reprisal was not as detailed. For the first time, I insisted on getting paid for my performance, and all of a sudden, they couldn't afford me, Eddings wrote on May 1st. In response, Pitchford insisted that Eddings was paid, quote, handsomely. This is what kind of got David Eddings triggered in this tweet above. And this is a tweet from... Randy Pitchford. Mr. Eddings was paid very handsomely during his employment, Pitchford wrote on May 3rd. After his employment, he was made a relatively generous offer to reprise the role. Unfortunately, he turned that opportunity down. Yeah, I don't know what the royalties would be worth at this point. I would assume they'd have to be worth a ton of money, especially with Claptrap, depending on the type of royalties he wanted. If he wanted like merchandising royalties and all that stuff, Claptrap is the character of Borderlands, of the franchise. I mean, yeah, you have the other ones, but he's the one that the kids are buying into, the one that you probably have a statue of, or a plushie, or something else. So that may have been a little unreasonable to ask for on the back end. I don't think it was unreasonable to ask for it on the front end, because I think it's absolute ludicrous that these people at Gearbox are asked to be voice actors optionally, and they get nothing for it other than their salary. And I think that may have been what triggered him, because he said he was paid very well during his employment, but that was for his business development and licensing VP role. That has nothing to do with voice acting. So that was an unfair statement by Randy, although I don't necessarily think it was stupidly egregious. But, I mean, it was a shot. I mean, and when you fire a shot, man, you got to be ready to take one. And, boy, especially when he had this on you, this assault, I don't get it. But let's take a quick look at David Eddings' Twitter account, just some of his tweets. Just kind of wanted to check in, see if there was anything new to this story. It does not appear that there is. He says, as an aside, seems a bit conspicuous that he chimed in on my salary but didn't mention anything about the $12 million of revenue he siphoned away from the employee royalty pool. FYI, Gearbox employees are asked to take lower salaries with the promise of royalty shares. Here's what's interesting about David Eddings saying that. He was the vice president of business development and licensing. I would assume that he was at least somewhat in the know. At that type of executive leadership, what does that put him in? The top 10 of Gearbox? Maybe the top 5 with that type of role? Let's say top 10 more than likely. He's going to know information. He's going to have a talking relationship with, let's say, the CFO. I think that's important to note. I think it's really important to note that he probably knows something here. He's probably been subpoenaed for this lawsuit. I don't know. That's speculation on my part, but I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt that he knows something going on here. There's no doubt about it that he's in the know and would be in the know on a situation like that. He says here, 2K says they won't give a statement regarding an ongoing lawsuit, but the allegation is false, and it sure seems a lot easier to just deny it since that's the only reason they're mentioned. The whole thing stinks. 100% correct here, because they're not denying it, because it is probably true, at least in some capacity, and they are probably trying to negotiate some kind of settlement to get the hell out of this thing. But here's going to be what happens. They're going to have to negotiate a settlement. That will probably get escalated. I mean, that has to be escalated right now to the top of their priority list, because now it's in the spotlight again. They're going to want to NDA these people that they settle with and just get out from under this thing and get away from it. NDA them to death, give them a settlement, say you can never talk about this to anybody again, and try to make this go away. I'm 100% positive that that's probably moved up in the priority list of things to do for 2K games and Gearbox. And last but not least, he has a pinned tweet here. He says, man, Gearbox is full of amazingly talented game developers. It's not fair to blame employees for the actions of one person. This is him replying to somebody. Be kind. They're the ones forced to cringe and bear it every time the boss shoots himself in the foot. That is true. When you have a bad leader, it is incredibly frustrating to be in that work environment, because almost everything that leader does, him or her, is associated with you, and it comes back on you because, as they say, shit rolls downhill. But let's take a quick moment to look at Randy Pitchford's Twitter account. And I'm going to have a heart attack here because he is dark. It looks like somebody has finally told him to stop tweeting and stop doing all these things to generate so much hate and ire. But he is dark. He has been dark for 18 hours. This is his tweets. This is his tweets and replies. He has done nothing, nothing mentioning this. You know, somebody who has just been ridiculously active on Twitter to all of a sudden go dark. Looks like there is probably some truth. It just makes David Eddings look even more accurate and truthful. I mean, it absolutely does. So, what does all of this mean? Well, here's what I don't like. I feel like David, for him to come out with that accusation now is tough. But when you're a victim, I can't. I mean, I really can't hold that against him. I mean, I want to try to sit here and be arbitrary, and I want to try to sit here and try to play devil's advocate to see both sides of this thing. But I can't. I can't see in any way, shape, or form that Randy Pitchford is a genuinely good guy, that he's misunderstood, or anything. I mean, this guy is not a good person. It would appear to be. I mean, that's what the appearances are. That's what, it looks like to all of us. And I don't know. I mean, it's really disheartening to see this, because what's going to be the thing to look for is what overall impact this is going to have on Borderlands 3, if any. It may not have any impact, but I have a feeling that it's going to have at least some. I think that the game is too big, and Gearbox and 2K are too big to really suffer from this one guy. But this is a huge distraction on what could be an overwhelmingly positive look at a game. And I really, really hope that they put a lid on this guy and just say, hey, you got to stop with the Twitter. I mean, you got to quit it. Because he is absolutely just destroying everything that he tweets about. I mean, it's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing that this is your leader and he's just a rambling wreck. And apparently he has been for a couple of years now. But as always, I'm really interested to know what you guys think. Comment down below. Please like the video. That would be tremendous if you would, because it actually maybe will get me in the algorithm someday. But also, I want to say thank you so much for the new subscribers that have jumped on. Got my first little subscriber train rolling. It was crazy. I had 4 new subs in a matter of a day, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I genuinely appreciate every single one of you that are subscribed and continue to do so. But if there's anything you guys want to see me cover, talk about, I'm 100% down for that. I also do some unboxing videos. Got a really interesting one coming for you really soon. A little bit different for me and maybe for you, but we'll also continue to kind of cover this kind of stuff and just keep growing. And like I said, man, it's really awesome. I'm just really appreciate it, and and I'm really excited to keep going with this thing. But let me know what you guys think of the whole situation in the comments below. I'm really responsive, and that's it for this one. But I will see you all on the next one.